learn how to tune electronic fuel injection live in person with the guys from RealTuners? We have 2-day courses in dyno shops all across the country. You can register for these at RealTuners.com and click on RealTuners Live Classes. For more information or to make a reservation, go to RealTuners.com or message us on Facebook at RealTuners LLC. Now, about those classes. When are they, you might ask? May 18th and 19th, a standalone EFI Level 1 class at 417 Motorsports in Springfield, Missouri. June 15th and 16th, a Level 2 advanced course in Milwaukee, Wisconsin at Endless Performance. And of course, we will be trying to schedule more classes and more dates throughout the year, so keep checking back for more info. Tonight on RealTuners Radio, we're going to give you a recap of LS Fest West, and we're going to talk to a few people who had some cool stuff out there. Maybe show you a few pictures, maybe a little video. Going to make it a fun night. Sit back and enjoy. And as usual, we have our normal panel of hosts. Bill Fowler of Big Hat Racing. Brian Barnhill of TunerTools.com. James Short of Shore Tuning. John Bewley of Little John's Motorsport Solutions. Mark Dalquist of Throttles Performance. Scott Clark of RealTuners.com. Scott Evans of Helix Tuning. Tom Sewell of Fuel Injector Development. Dan Parker, the movie star. He's blind in one eye and can't see out the other. And possibly a few of our previous guest hosts will pop their heads in and chat as well. And as always, thanks for tuning in. Now let's get this show on the road. Welcome back, everybody. Another episode of RealTuners. I hope you all have had a great weekend this last weekend. We had LS Fest, and it was spectacular. Let me just say, I went out there and enjoyed every minute of it. We got a couple guys on tonight that were out there and did pretty good. Had a lot of fun with their cars out there. We're going to talk to them, and we'll see what else is going on this week. Without any further ado, let me bring everybody in. Everybody say hello.
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 Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hey,
What's up, guys?
Oh, class. We got to actually practice something like that. Be badass. People freak out. So, what's shaking? I got some stuff to talk about. Some local events going on before we get started on the big national stuff. Hold on a second here. Where are my notes? Okay. So, if you are anywhere in the Midwest, and I'm talking Kansas City area, really, but this weekend, the Going Performance King of the 28s race. It's this Saturday. Is it next Saturday? Sorry, it's a week from this Saturday. Presented by Race Star Wheels, May 17th and 18th. That's right. At US 36 Dragway, Cameron, Missouri. Very cool place to go watch this event. Kendall Goen puts on this event. It's their third annual, and it is absolutely killer. So everybody runs on a what's the tire they run on, Jake? It's a 28-10-5. Gotcha. And it's, I'm sitting here with my buddy Jake, but he knows about this race. But super cool race. Tons of super fast cars shows up. It's no wheelie bars, steel roof and quarters, $100 to enter. Kendall is also one of the favorite transmission guys of a lot of people here in the Midwest. So Going Performance. But anyway, he puts on this event and everybody loves it locally. It's huge. It's a small track. It's a difficult surface to get down. And a lot of fast cars come from a long ways away to race at this little event. Kind of local must do. But I mean, anybody in the area, if you're within a day's drive, it's worth seeing. All small tire cars. So must do. Anyway, if you're not going there, then come to the RealTuners class at Springfield, Missouri, 417 Motorsports. We have a Holley EFI Basics. Get started with Holley Dominator and HP and their big power turbo stuff, but we'll have a dyno there. That ends up being a pretty cool class. That's all I have. Oh, wait, there is one more thing. I heard about this. I saw this on Larry Larson's Facebook page the other day. At the Menards NHRA Heartland Topeka Nationals coming up here June 7th through the 9th. So Larry Larson's going to make passes with his truck before he sells it at this event.
Awesome.
And he's going to try and reset the street legal record. And I believe he's doing that thing. I need to go talk to him. I need to go visit him, but I can find out what's going on here. But I believe he's running that thing in similar to drag week trim. I think he's preparing that thing to sell it as a drag week type ride. Very interesting vehicle for sale there. But I'm told, or looking at his Facebook page, it says that he's going to make a couple of attempts at resetting that record, which I think is something like 589 or 588.
I was just fixing to ask who took it away from him.
What's that?
I was just fixing to ask who took it away from him.
I think mile per hour Lutz has the fastest mile per hour, but the same ET, maybe, or maybe it's in the thousandths. I don't know. They're right close with each other, but Jeff Lutz, well, yeah, I mean, like, yeah, but you did it in a pro mod. My buddy Jake's in the background here, and he's like, yeah, I'll give him credit. Larry did that drag week year 2014, I think it was. With he didn't take cylinder heads off like the whole trip, which is pretty crazy, and ended up busting off like a 613.3, I think it was, at the final event in Tulsa, the final day of drag week. So that car is legit as far as street cars. Of course, Lutz's cars have done that too, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens if he can smash down that record. Andy Frost over in the UK is working on trying to best that number as well. So he'll be watching for sure. But that's all I have. You've got Evans has lined up some stuff.
Yeah, we got a couple interesting cats from the weekend. Like, I went out there and watched everything. It was pretty rocking. I mean, every single event was fun to watch, and that's kind of the good thing. And there's so much stuff to do. I mean, you got drag racing, which we all love. You got drifting.
He's talking about LS Fest West. Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yep,
yeah.
You got
Holly
drifting,
LS.
You got the road course stuff, you got autocross, you got dirt stuff, which is always fun to watch. You got burnout competitions, general car show, everything out there. There were so many cool things. I can't tell you the number of vehicles that I was just like, holy crap, this thing is amazing. How, and I just, everything you look at is, everybody's got something cool. And there was everything from the simplest little, generic F-body Camaro 2000, whatever, bolt-on cars, all the way up into, Winnebago with an LS7 swap, which I thought was really, really interesting.
Yeah, that's the one that flipped over, isn't it?
I don't know.
I saw that video.
All I know is that thing had
every day.
I don't know.
Flipped over in the donut box.
Yeah, that was the Dirt Everyday Winnebago that they borrowed a LS7 from Freiburger.
That show is kick ass. I'm in love with that Dirt Everyday show. That is
it was great
live stream show. Oh yeah.
And there were some. I thought some of the cool things that happened. There was I swear to God, there was a dune buggy that did the burnout thing that like put so much smoke up that you could see that thing from outer space. I swear. It was an unbelievable amount of smoke that guy made. And like, I don't even know how he didn't hit a wall because you couldn't see anything. Nobody could see anything. You just hear it on the rev limiter, 4.5 minutes straight. It was amazing to watch, The other cool car that I saw on the burnout was Dario, who we have on tonight, with his little LS blown Mini. That thing is just obnoxiously awesome. That's all I can say about it. It's so cool. It's this tiny, tiny little car, and the dude is not small, and it's got this gigantic blower on top of an LS motor, and it sounds mean. It looks mean.
Have a sound here in a minute when he gets there.
Yep. And then we had, autocross guys. We had Mike DeSold, who's on here tonight, and his car just looked great all weekend. Everything he did with that, I was just like, man, that thing moves. Man, that thing corners. How the hell? I was blown away at how smooth and how nice that thing moved around. Dude. Yeah, it was unbelievable to watch. Like, I was standing over in the... just watching on the sides. Chad's kid Cole was taking pictures of everything, and I was standing over there while he was taking some pictures, and I saw it, and I was like, man, that car right there, he's moving easily 2 seconds faster than the rest of everybody in this field, and he was cooking. I don't even remember what the final numbers were, but it was like, oh yeah, that guy won. There was no doubt,
Yeah, it was a super fun event, especially having two autocrosses out there was really kind of neat, and then splitting it up and giving kind of different looks at it. So It's always a great event. That event's so much fun.
Yeah, I don't know who to start with, really. You know,
types of motorsports together. You get everybody out there. You get everybody from all these different backgrounds and different types of motorsports all together, and it's really cool to see how everybody appreciates everybody else's cars, and you get a lot of conversations and ideas that go across the different genres, and it's just a blast. It's one of everybody's favorite events of the year.
One of the oddball, interesting things that I got to do, which is kind of a funny story. Chad and I were running on the golf cart over to somewhere, and I don't remember where we were heading. I think we were heading to go to the car show stuff to do something, and we see this car come around kind of blazing and stopping, and somebody comes over yelling that this guy's doing burnouts through the pits, drifting through the pits through a crowd of people. And we ended up in a little golf cart slow speed chase following him and getting security involved to get the guy kicked out, more or less, because he was doing something that should not be happening in the pits. It's cool if you're on the track, but don't do it around all the people when you're sitting there in the pits. And he kind of zigzagged around a little bit and tried to, I don't know if he was trying to lose us or if he was just trying to find a clean path to get out, but we followed him and kept cutting him off. There were 3 different golf carts all going around keeping track of him doing things, and followed him out the back door of the track out there. Never thought I would get in a slow speed chase on a golf cart at LS Fest.
Yeah, it's funny because like LS Fest West has got a little bit more of kind of a cowboy vibe than the East version does.
Yeah.
And I think especially because now they've got that the sideshow and everything, that it just gets kind of crazy. We were doing the awards ceremony on Sunday afternoon, and some dude was doing the same thing. Like, he's just doing donuts like half a block away from the awards ceremony in the middle of the pits.
Jeez.
Like, okay, you guys are getting a little crazy. But
there's a big group. Yeah, there's a big group of guys from Sacramento that come down. They brought 7 car carriers full of cars.
Wow.
And they're those guys that block off the streets and do it in the middle of the streets, like the hood rat shit. So,
dude, we were driving down 15 on Sunday, and you could see where they were doing donuts in 15, like in the middle of the 15 highway.
Oh, that's great.
Like they're the dudes that you see on the internet.
That was those guys. Yeah, we knew exactly who it was. It's those guys.
Yeah. They brought 58 cars on car carriers.
Wow.
From Sacramento to just do that.
And it's crazy that they were all different. Like, all the cars were all so different. There was like donks and lowrider trucks, and there was all kinds of different cars out there. It was such an eclectic event. And it seems like what's cool is that it's getting even more eclectic. It's every time you show up at an LS Fest event, you'd have no idea what you're going to see, because it's pretty much everything that could possibly have an LS motor is out there.
Yeah, I saw pretty much every single brand of vehicle out there with an LS motor in it that I could think of, like literally everything. I was like, oh, look, Mercedes. Oh, look, Ford. Oh, look, Jeep. Oh, like I said, the Winnebago. Just so many different varieties of stuff that was there. It was...
Yeah, there was a Lambo. I didn't see it, but apparently there was
there was an LS Lambo, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see it. Everybody was telling me about it. It was somewhere by, there was this Pacer wagon that had an LS swap, and they're like, there's a Lambo over there. I'm like, I had to see it, but I never got over there. I was too busy fixing my junk.
Yeah, I missed the LS Lambo. That would have been pretty wild. Yeah, it's crazy. One of the guys that we know has an all-wheel drive Porsche with a LS swap in it, and it has working all-wheel drive and a Porsche with an LS. It's kind of crazy.
Wow.
How much stuff is there.
And then the dyno competition is always out there and stuff. Somebody just reminded me of that here in the Facebook chat, that that they had that going on. Bunch of cool cars on that stuff. Garrett with his Corvette with no shell on it, just the caged Corvette, whatever you want to call it, is made like 1350 or 1390 or something. Yeah, the Leroy car. Yeah.
Yeah, that was after he got kicked off the track.
Yeah, there were some, I heard there were some concerns over the fact that his car isn't closed in, and they were concerned that something could hit him from the side.
Yeah.
It did win the dyno competition, though, I think.
Yeah.
I think it had the highest overall horsepower on the dyno at like 13 something.
Yeah, I think he said they did 28 pounds or something to make that.
Yeah.
He was a little worried it was going to come apart, I think, I think I saw some video of that, and he was like, I don't know, I guess we're going to try it. We'll see what happens.
He just sent it.
Yeah, that's it.
Take to win. We're gonna do
that's the whole thing. Hey, he ain't got to drive it home. You just send it, right? That's the idea. It's just like Dario has on the back. I saw that on the back of the little mailbox hood scoop going on that blue car. I was like, there's a note that says you don't have to drive it home. Just send it.
Yeah. I drove 18 hours
all day.
Yeah, I drove 18 hours not to take it easy. So
right.
Yeah. We're not there to take second place, right? If you're going to show up in Vegas and LS Fest West, you're showing up there because you want to win something. Come on.
Right.
Yeah.
It was definitely an awesome weekend. There was a lot of really killer cars there and a lot of cool stuff happening. And we'll definitely be back next year. It's certainly one of our favorite events.
So I want to get into talking about your guys' cars a little bit too while we're at it, because that's kind of the whole thing we like to do. We like to get little basic events. We like to see all the details of what your build was and what you do with your stuff.
We want to hear the details.
We want to, we got a lot of listeners who love to have fun, but they love to know the fine nitty gritty details of stuff. They want to know exactly what you did to put that thing together, how you came about deciding on that car to begin with, that kind of stuff. Like that little blue Mini, why did you pick that car? Like, obviously, you had that other little small car last year, So, I mean, what was
I have a Chevette that I normally race. It runs mid-8s at like 160, stock bottom end, 5.3 deal, twin turbo. And then I just wanted to build something to have fun, right? Like, I've always been a fan of doing burnouts, but I just wanted to have something that I seen the burnout contest last year, and I didn't really know that Cletus was going to do his thing this year and stuff, but I just kind of had the idea of a joke that I was going to LS swap a golf cart, and this was kind of the next bigger thing than a golf cart.
It's not much bigger than a golf cart at all.
Yeah.
It's about their name's size.
Yeah. So that was kind of the big thing with it. So I literally seen a picture of a really patinaed Mini from Australia that had like a small block Chev with a tunnel ram, and I thought, I want to do that, but I want to do it with a blown LS. And I do turbo cars all day. I have a shop up here in Calgary that I built turbo LS stuff day in and day out. And I'd never done any blown stuff. And a lot of the time it's not very budget, because a lot of the Australian guys were telling me it's like 15 grand landed from BDS in Australia for the whole blower kit. So I was like, holy crap. So I just tried to find a cheaper way of doing it. So I kind of pieced it together with like an old school 6V71 blower, and then the lower intake is a Holley high ram, and then I made all the adapters and bought all the pulleys, and I managed to do all the blower setup for like $3,000. So I ended up doing it a lot cheaper than I think most people would. So
yeah, it looked killer, man. Like, the car was definitely awesome looking out there. It was just nowhere that you saw that thing roll and there wasn't a crowd around it staring at it. It was awesome build.
Yeah, it was a good, like, I always had the idea for the mailbox. I must have seen it in CarCraft when I was a kid. And then I always said, if I were doing this, the blower scoop is going to be the same height as the hood or as the roof. Right. So I just wanted the most obnoxious looking car. Like the biggest thing it came up a few times is there used to be, when I was younger, there used to be those cars called muscle machines. And they had the weird proportions where the engine was like really big, blower engine sticking out, and it was really short and had the big wheels, and kids used to love them. And I was like, this is like a real life muscle machine. So
yeah, it looked like a cartoon rolling around the pits, but in absolutely the best way possible. It was perfect. Yeah. It looked awesome. It looked like it would be the most fun thing in the world to just go wide open throttle in.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and like with my shop, I always have a bunch of leftover stuff that like engines that aren't good enough to use for customer builds and that kind of thing. So we just kind of pieced it, seen what we had, and we took inventory, and then we kind of just filled in the gaps of the things we didn't have. I didn't have a transmission, so I bought one off of Buddy. All this kind of stuff went through my big Tupperware bin of fittings that everybody has, and kind of pieced together a fuel system and filled in the blanks and did it that way. So,
yeah, kudos, man. It's definitely a killer build. It was super fun to see, and it's always great to see people really go outside the box with the creativity and do something just radical for the sake of radical.
Yeah, well, that's the main thing. What it's about with LS Fest, right? So,
yeah. So the motor, obviously, we know it's an LS. What exactly is in the motor? I mean,
it's a stock long block LS that a customer brought me, but I considered it looked like it missed every oil change, like one of those ones where you take the valve cover off and it's just sludge. So we kind of parted it all out. I threw it under my bench for a couple of years, and then when this project came up, I thought, well, the worst case, it's not going to go in a car that's going to go down a racetrack and kick the rods and hurt somebody. It's just going to kick the rods out of it and maybe cause a fire or whatever. But so it's a totally stock long block 4.8 with a GM ASA cam that we just had sitting on the shelf. It's like 226, 236 on a 110. And then it's got some blue LS3 valve springs and stock everything else, stock push rods, reused head gaskets, reused bolts, just like junk, because I didn't know if it was going to last 30 seconds or 30 minutes, and I really didn't care. And so I have I had to buy a front crank seal, so I have like $8 into the engine, because the cam was pretty much useless for anything I did turbo-wise. So I was just like, I bought a crank seal, reused every other gasket, put it together, and then you don't feel bad about just banging that thing off the limiter for 4 or 5 minutes.
And that you did. You were on the limiter the entire time in that burnout competition. Like at the end, I was like, oh no, it sounds like it's dying. And then you fired it back up and drove it off. I was like, okay, it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it got to 280 degrees 4 times during the weekend.
Wow.
And I think it runs on methanol. So I think at that level, the methanol, as soon as it starts hitting the head, it just starts boiling. Because it really changes. Like you can watch, if you watch the video that I posted before to the end, it just totally, the engine sounds like it's seizing almost to self-destruction. And I think it's just, it can't atomize the fuel anymore.
It sounded awful.
Yeah, it does. Everybody's like, is it still, because the Holly guys would come up to me and they'd be like, is it still alive? I'm like, yeah, I'll just let it cool down to 200 and fire it back up. And that's all we did. Put a new set of tires on it, and it was ready to go again. So yeah, the last one on Saturday, I went for 4.5 minutes.
Yeah,
straight.
It was
7,000,
awesome.
7,000 RPM off the limiter.
It sounded like you wanted to break it.
Yeah, it was. Well, it was literally just the whole time. It was great.
Yeah, it was fun. Everybody said it sounded incredible at that RPM and stuff. So. It doesn't have enough weight to knock the tires off faster. That's how the Aussies kind of do it. They go, when they don't have a time limit, it's just usually 2 minutes or so. They can usually blow the tires off, and then they catch on fire and stuff. And that thing is so light in the back, it takes way longer for it to actually kill a brand new set of tires. It took 4 minutes to go from brand new to nothing. So,
wow.
Do you have a preferred type of tire?
Yeah, the cheapest ones possible. The ones that were on it they were called Mile Kings. They cost $198 for 4 out the door at my local tire shop. So brand new. Yeah, they're for a VW Jetta size. It was just the cheapest new tire I could find. I bought some tires off of Crown Vic from our local pick and pull, and they were too tall. They rubbed on the wheel well. Because that thing only has a 28-inch diameter wheel tub, so I can only put a 26-inch or shorter tire on it, and I missed it by half an inch, so I had to buy brand new stuff just to kill.
So if they only lasted 4.5 minutes, would that be covered by the warranty?
I don't know. I don't think I was going to go back to the guy and say, "Can I get warranty on this?" But
it's a road hazard.
Our drift team tried that. They told us no.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I doubt they would give us anywhere of that. They'd probably find pictures on the internet.
You might get away with it once.
Yeah.
Then there'd be a sign up at their shop, don't give new tires to this guy.
Yeah, for sure. But it was a good time. I really enjoyed it. It was just something different. Like, I've been drag racing for the last 15 years, and I just wanted to do something different. And when you go to LS Fest, that's kind of the thing about is being different, right? To stand out from a crowd of hundreds and hundreds of cars is a pretty big challenge. And I just wanted to make my mark kind of thing and show people what we could do and have fun. And
it definitely stood out.
Yeah. Yeah, I get tagged daily on Instagram right now. A couple hundred per day.
I got a couple good pictures of the tires you fried, so there's some good ones of that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, other than that, like, I don't know, we're gonna take it to some local stuff. They have that power cruise in Minnesota, I think it is. It's kind of like Summer Nets. We were thinking about taking it to that, but it's still a 30-hour drive to get there. So we're just going to play it by ear and see. There's a couple little things that I got to fix on the car, but just get the cooling system working a little as good as it can. And that's pretty much it.
Whereabouts in Alberta are you based?
Calgary, which is like, we're about an hour. If you've ever been to Banff or heard of Banff, it's kind of like the touristy part. So about 3 hours north of the Montana border.
Been to Calgary. Yep, beautiful places.
Yeah, big drag racing scene here, and lots of fast cars and oil country. So lots of guys with expendable incomes. So
cool.
So there's a fascinating comparison between our two guests and the two vehicles. Can we talk a little bit about the autocross winning car?
Absolutely.
Sure. What do you guys want to know?
Everything you'll tell us?
Yeah, first of all, tell everybody there's some people that are only listening and don't get to see the pictures of the video, so they won't know what we're talking about unless,
let me start. Scott, let me start a little bit on. I met Mike coming up on 4 years ago now, and he was looking at doing something different in the Optima Ultimate Streetcar Challenge series that a lot of other guys weren't. If you've seen Mike's car, you'll see pictures of it going by on the slideshow. Super original first-gen Camaro road racing type setup.
67.
And he came to us. I worked for a company that made ECUs at the time, and he was looking for help with how to manage big power turbo stuff in an application where typically a lot of guys did not run turbos. You might have seen some blowers. I don't think there were any turbos 3 years ago when he brought this out, but not that I know of cars that I saw running there. So he instantly made big power, but the trick was making all that hook up and work in a road race, autocross, kind of a general purpose type of car thing. That's what the Optima Ultimate Streetcar guys are doing. So anyway, he started working on this, and it's been a long build. He's been working on this car a long time, and it's been a series of upgrades over the years. But I'll let Mike Dussel take it over from here. Go ahead, Mike. Tell us more details about the car.
Well, it kind of started out as I've always had a thing for big power cars, and I had a 67 Camaro when I was in high school, and it didn't have boost, and I always wanted boost, so I got into Grand Nationals for a while, and I had like 7 or 8 of those, and kind of learned about turbo cars with those. But the problem with those was always just the motors weren't reliable. So I went into turbo Mustangs, and they just didn't do it for me because I always had that love for the first gen Camaro. So I finally sold all my Mustangs and decided I was going to build a twin turbo first gen Camaro. And obviously the LS was the best platform to get the most bang for the buck out of. So we ended up with a 427 LS, and back then it was basically an ERL short block with LS3 heads and regular stock LS3 intake and a twin turbo setup I built for it. And the car just had massive potential, and the turbo motor just made more power than pretty much everybody that I raced against, because most of the guys that race they just do, NA cars, because the simplicity is what they're going for, because they want a lot of reliability and no cooling issues and, stuff like that, because it's the easy button. And when everybody does it and it becomes the status quo, everybody just follows that mold. But me being me, I wanted to do something that was different than what everybody else was doing. So I just kept pounding on making the boost work. And for years and years and years, people just kept telling me that you're never going to get it to work, and it's too complex, and it's too much weight to carry around, and it's not worth it. And,
definitely complicated.
Yeah, it definitely is complicated. But to me, that just kind of made it a challenge, because in the long run, I feel like if you're just going to do what everybody else is doing, you're not going to be able to get past them.
Sure.
If you're not the one that's willing to try and break the mold and push the technology further and do things that other people aren't willing to attempt to do, then it's going to be really difficult to one day be the one that everybody's like, oh, wait, what just happened? So we've been pushing on the turbo thing for years and years, and we finally got it where the reliability is there, and we figured out all the cooling and oiling and how to make the thing actually hook up in every gear. And, that's really where Scott came in for a long time, was kind of giving us a lot of insight into what the drag guys were doing to try and hook up the big power cars on the street tires.
That was fun, man. Making one of these cars have to haul ass in a straight line. It's like, I can't speak for nothing about turning or stopping, but once you get pointed in the right direction, make her go.
Yeah,
that was fun.
What's super cool, though, is that if you look at it, all the different things that everybody's doing, they're really related to the same thing at the time. Everybody,
sure,
no matter what kind of sport you're in, everybody's trying to get the most out of the tire. And how do I get 10 tenths out of the best available tire, and how do I make that work for me? And with the electronics, it was super interesting, because my motor, as far as my tire is concerned, has functionally unlimited horsepower all the time. So if you could figure out ways of making that thing hook up and get 10 tenths out of the tire's capability all the time, and you have the largest, stickiest tire available, I mean, you're going to be the fastest guy, and that's just math. But it takes a lot to try and get to that point. So that's really where we've been just working our development and, working our butts off for years, is going, hey, we've got this theory of how just basically the most basic, simple math function of how this whole racing game actually works. We know what that is. How do we get there? And how do we just go step by step and inch by inch and try and make it better and better and better, and get to the point where we have the ability to do that? And what we've been really fortunate for is, I guess, having a bunch of people on the team and around us that have helped a lot. And, when Chad introduced me to Scott, that helped out a lot. And Chad's always been a really good help for me, because him and I think a lot alike. So it's been a great friendship. And he's always really inspirational on, hey, the rule book is this guideline. And how we interpret all that stuff, and how we look at it, and bringing people into the game.
I got him. Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead. We fix that.
Okay. Yeah, but just having all that inspiration and the really cool friends and all the talented people around is what's been making it, progressively more fun. Is that we're doing something different. We're doing something that really we're the only ones currently doing it. And now that it's starting to get more and more and more successful, it's starting to.
You watch, give it 2 years. Everybody's going to have twins, right?
Yeah. Well, that's how it really goes, in any kind of racing. If somebody's a maverick at one point, people kind of poo-poo them until they do well. And then when they do well, they're like, oh, well, that's the new formula. And then there's a bunch of people that try and follow it. But in my mind, if you're the one that is the maverick and you're the one that's willing to pave that road, you're going to always have a gap on people behind you, because you're the one that's got, at this point, we've got 3 years or 4 years of experience in the turbo game and what we do. And there's not a lot of people that have that. We're the only ones. And we know how to take a street tire car and go make it live 20 minutes on a road course at 960 wheel horsepower and not get hot.
That's a lot harder than a lot of drag racers realize, man, because that's some steady state abuse right there, Interestingly enough, I know, the turbo game, no problem. Power, easy. You guys figured out. You figured out it needed some extra cooling stuff, whatnot, but you figured that out. But the real trick is the management and application of power. That's not easy to do. You make enough power at the wheels to literally annihilate that tire, regardless of what kind of contact or, how good things, what conditions there are. So you literally are exploring and figuring out how to manage power, like in the middle of a turn when you're going straight. It's an interesting project for sure. This is one of the ones I worked on that was not the typical drag project. And I got to help him get started with his program and kind of point him in the right direction and be like, all right, here's the knobs to turn, adjust these, check in when you have questions, go off, good luck. Well, the second year in, he was already starting to win events and got, you won enough or whatever it took to get invited to. That is it. You win one major event in OUS, the Outlaw Ultimate Streetcar deal, and you get invited to the big event at the end of the year. How does that work?
The Ultimate Series has usually it's 7 events during the year, and the top finishing person in each class that doesn't already have an invite gets an invite to the Optima Invitational at SEMA. So we've gone to SEMA. I think it's 4 years in a row now for the Optima Invitational. So we went
That's
3 years where we went from like 5th place to 3rd place to 2nd place, and then last year we won the Invitational. So we were proud of that. We were the first group ever to win the Point Series and the Invitational in the same year last year.
That's awesome. I love that.
That was really fun. We're really
You've
proud
also
of that.
done well in the all-arounds at the Holly LS Fest East, haven't you?
Yeah. We've won LS Fest East a couple times, and we've won West a couple times. So I think I want to say that we have like 4 LS Fest overall, like Grand Champion victories. It's kind of a little bit different now because they have the classes.
Right.
So they've got the LS Fest, the vintage, the late model, and the truck Grand Champion awards now, which is a little bit confusing. But what's kind of funny is that some of the guys that have been doing it for a long time, like my buddy Rich Wilhoff has won a bunch of LS Fest victories as well. And, we have our side bets on who would have won the overall. So we definitely keep track of that. And we know who would have won what event on the overall. So that makes it even more fun. I think that's what's really cool about the racing community is that we are really all friends. At the end of the day, we're gonna drink a beer and tell stories and rid each other about
help each other out.
And help each other. If anybody has a problem, everybody's there for you. I think that's what makes it cool, and it really seems like that spreads across all forms of racing. And that's what makes it so cool is that, hey, we're going to be competitors, but we're also really good friends. And if you guys need help, we're there to help you because we want to be your best effort, not you broken. So it's a really fun thing, and
that's a fun project, man. That car is really cool. It's been one of my favorites, and people ask me what are some of the more unique things I've gotten to contribute a few minutes on, and that is definitely one of them. Now, what's the best? You have to run a quarter mile sometimes with that car, which if for those drag racers don't know, that's hilarious in a road racing car, right? Getting these things to leave off the line with their aggressive clutches and manually, H pattern transmissions and whatnot.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. I got a 7 1/4 inch clutch that weighs like 25 pounds. So it's not made for any share trying to get the car to launch at all. It's like absolutely opposite of what the car is built for. The best the car's ever done in the quarter mile is like a 1018 at 149.8. Which we really feel like we could get the car in the 9s, which I think would be a great milestone. I think if I could get a stick shift road race car on 200 treadwear street tires to run along.
Yeah, that would be legit. That would be huge.
It would be crazy. But at the event in Vegas at LSS West, like last weekend, we ran a 1066 at 149.2. With a really terrible stick.
With like a 2.0 60 foot. What was your 60 foot?
Yeah, it was like a 2.0. I was having a hell of a time with it, and it's a really funny story. But I'm not super experienced with the drag racing. I did it in high school and everything, and my crew chief and really good friend Patrick actually cruised on a Top Fuel funny car team. So he's telling me that you're not in the groove. Go on the dark part of the track. And the dark part to me was the shiny part because it looked more black. And he's like, no, dumbass, it's the sun part. So Patty and Chad's son Cole were giving me a whole bunch of shit about constantly landing it out of the groove at LS.
Right.
I'm like, I don't know what the hell you guys are talking about.
That's hilarious.
So
no, Chad will line you up. He knows how to drag race.
Yeah, no, Cole's awesome, man. He's a great kid. He's a super talented photographer. He came over and he really was trying to explain the groove to me. And then I went up and made the 1060 pass. And I'm like, the 60 foot sucked. He's like, well, you still didn't line up in the groove. I'm like, what do you mean? I thought I was in the dark part. Like, no, you're not in the right part of the track.
Kid giving you shit.
Right.
Yeah,
Cole's like
it was
15.
And Cole's super cool, man. He's a great kid. And, Patty's a great friend, too. So it was funny when both of them are like, hey, you're a dumbass and you don't know how to line up on the track. But still, fortunately, we were able to win the drag racing portion of the all-around competition. So it really was kind of a no harm, no foul thing. But next time, I'll tell you, I'm going to figure out that stupid groove and line up in the right spot. But
got to figure out the launch is going to be just hard as hell to do in that thing with a clutch that's not built. It's an on-off style clutch for road
not built to slip at all.
No, 2 seconds to 60 are expected. Something like that.
Yeah, it's on and off. And what's crazy is that at one point, and it was before the road race clutches, but at one point I had that car 1.7 60 foot on 200 treadwear street tires. So I know it's possible. It's just going to take the absolute perfect storm of everything being right to make it work. But
is the clutch adjustable?
No. But what I did, one dude was talking to me about a guy that makes this basically like a proportioning valve for the clutch, where when you let the clutch out, it kind of slows down the clutch release.
Right.
And
yeah, you can do that.
Just a pinch.
Yeah, the clutch tamer.
A big help.
The clutch tamer, they've got a deal. It's like a gas cylinder that attaches to the clutch, and when you launch the car, you can just sidestep it, and it controls the application of the clutch, helps you get a smoother application.
Man, I still see that being tough to tune with the way his power comes on, because this car is a 900 wheel horse, but it's also like an 850 foot-pounds. It's got your type of off-idle monster torque.
Well, you're going to have to put a launch retard in it.
Truth.
You could put a launch retard in it with a clutch switch that doesn't let the thing go to full power till after the clutch.
Well, are we giving away some of the tricks? He's already doing some of this stuff.
You know what's funny is I played with the technology on the launch control for a really long time.
And then gave up. Fuck it.
I just launch it with my feet. I've always had the best luck. Like, it's funny because I went out, we're kind of in an industrial area at my shop. So the street out front of the shop is really sleepy at night. After 5 o'clock, everybody goes home. And I've got to have 100+ hours of doing launches in front of the shop and doing the data logs of the distance per second and trying to figure out what the speed per second is and what the ideal launch is and all that. And then I'll go to an event and do, my perfect setup launch control and launch it on a speed stop or something. And then I'll back that up with turning it off and launch it on my feet, and it's faster. And I'm like, what the hell? So I've never truly perfected the technology of the launch control where I feel like it's consistently faster because the darn surfaces change so much. And if I could find the surface that identically matched the surface of the street in front of my shop, I'd probably be insanely fast. But it seems like every surface I come across is enough different than that surface that it just doesn't work. And you know,
Makes
I end up
sense.
having to just kind of
World.
do it by foot. Yeah, and I can have a ton of appreciation for what the drag racers go through. You know, I obviously don't do it, so I don't have a full understanding of it. But I can appreciate that every track condition and if the moisture goes up and you get more moisture on the surface, and all these other variables that can come into play and make that so difficult to quantify and get just perfect that a lot of times, you know, with a clutch and with your feet, you can kind of adjust it. But I would imagine with like a torque converter where it's the same every time, it could be maddening sometimes on trying to figure out how to exactly get the darn thing to launch. So
we learn how to
autocross a small percentage.
With a torque converter, we learn how to control it with timing or boost or whatever combination of other things in the tune-up, and we let our feet just say floor it and go.
Yeah, so you kind of hit the converter harder or less hard based on how much power you're putting on the thing on the line.
Yeah, to an extent, yeah.
His is a little more of an art form than ours. Cool.
Yeah.
Well,
it's definitely cool stuff. And what's neat is that you can continually try and push the envelope with the technology more and more and more and try and understand the variables better. But it's funny, like the more you learn and the more variables you see, the more complicated it gets. And you kind of just have to try and figure all that out too. So
right.
It's fun. And I think that's what makes it cool is that you can never have it perfect. You know, no matter what you're doing, the better you get at it, the more opportunity you see to get even better. So there's always room for improvement.
We don't see a lot of Camaros with side pipes. Don't see a lot of Camaros with those very interesting vents that come out through the hood. Can you talk a little bit about what you're doing for airflow management, both in terms of cooling, getting air through the car, and what you're accomplishing with all of that? And is that a full tube front end?
Not only is it a full tube front end, it's a full tube car. So I built the chassis myself. We wanted to do something that was a little bit different, try to make the car lighter, and also get the geometry that we were going for. When this iteration of the car was built, it was built at a time when Corvettes were starting to just completely dominate the type of racing that we do. And a lot of my friends that were running muscle cars were all selling their muscle cars and buying like C5 and 6 Corvettes. And it really kind of made me sad on one hand and pissed me off on the other, because I didn't want it to turn into a spec series. We're like, everybody's driving the same stupid car, you know? It's like, come on, man, be creative and do something. So I basically posed the question to myself of what would a Camaro, the first gen Camaro that could beat a fully prepped C6 Corvette look like, and what would it have to have? So when you get into the airflow management, first gen Camaros are really terrible about the way that the front of the car is designed. It's like a big brick, right? On one hand, it's the grill's straight up and there's a lot of frontal area. And the way the radiator stands when you have the motor behind it, you have multiple problems with that, with airflow. One of the main ones is the air comes through the radiator and builds this huge high pressure bubble off the front of the engine, under the engine bay, and it creates a ton of lift. And those cars are known for being super scary at speeds probably, I bet you could probably get them scary at like 80 plus. They start getting progressively lighter in the front end, and they'll actually, the front end feel like it has no contact with the ground. So what a lot of people have known to do is to vent the hood to get that pressure bubble out. Well, my car is just kind of taking it a little bit of a step further, and then it has a lay-down radiator with a fully ducted exhaust duct on the radiator that comes out the hood. But not only does that help with downforce by eliminating the high pressure bubble under the hood, but it also aids in cooling because that high pressure behind the radiator kind of effectively aerodynamically stalls the radiator. at a certain speed. So if you get up and you're running on a road course at 80 miles an hour plus, your radiator effectively turns off. So on my car, it doesn't because of the ducting. So there's multiple reasons that we do those things. But like my car, if it didn't have that ducting, it wouldn't be able to stay cool. You know, if you're running on a road track, it would just get super, super hot. But when you can have a component like that ducting that allows you to stay cool and have more downforce, it's something you just got to do. But you don't see it a lot because there's not a lot of first-gen Camaros that are built to do what ours is really built to do. But the side pipes are mainly built because of when I was building the chassis, I wanted to find a way to trap a bunch of soot into the car. And anytime you got a turbo car, the downpipes get pretty hot. So I figured if I put the downpipes as far out on the chassis as I could, then I would have the ability to kind of have a lot of fresh air to keep them cool, and then they wouldn't be kind of in an oven underneath the car. And the car also has a full flat belly from the front to the back. So if I put the exhaust through the belly, it would just roast everything inside the car. But by having those side pipes on the outside of the car, it keeps a lot of the car a lot cooler.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, everything.
Plus,
really
they look cool.
Is there for family. Yeah, well, it's cool in a redneck way, which I'm good with. You know, a first-gen Camaro with side pipes just has to have a touch of redneck to it, which, you know.
Well,
you can't.
You got the fact that it's airplane themed as well, World War II aircraft themed, so the side pipes fit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the aircraft theme is kind of a neat thing that just kind of happened after a while, because for a while the car was just kind of a rat rod, and the theme originally was just if it didn't need to be there, why put it there? And then when you start seeing, I had a customer that I worked for that had a warbird collection, and when you look at all the World War II airplanes, that's really how they were built. Was if it doesn't need to be there, it's not there. So that's kind of where the theme came from. Was I always thought those were really cool looking planes, and I really like the vibe of it's all business and it's here for a purpose, and kind of tried to convey that with the car. You know, when people look at it, they feel like, wow, this thing's just here to handle business. You know, it's not here to look pretty. It's not here to, you know, win car shows. It's here because it's meant to serve a purpose and get something done. So it was a fun theme to try and pull off.
Well, there's a picture
certainly getting it done
where it appears that you're in front of some warbirds. Is that the group you were talking about?
Yeah. There's some. We did a whole photo shoot down with the Lewis Air Legends, and I've worked with that group before, and they've got some really amazing planes in that collection. And I've been super fortunate, you know, through working with those guys for years and years and years, that I've got to climb in and around those planes. And actually, those guys even let me fly with them in their B-25. So it was a really great experience, and it impacted me a lot. And the way that the planes got constructed is really cool, because, you know, a lot of racers today, you know, think dry sump oiling systems and everything are AN fittings and all that are race car parts, but really they're World War II aircraft parts. You know, it's like, it's been around since the 40s, and we just use it on race cars because it really works super good, and that's what we should use on our race cars. But it's neat because everybody's car that races that has a dry sump or AN fittings has got some kind of homage to World War II aircraft. It's just my car has it a little bit more overtly. You know, it's more in your face. But I think it's really neat how hot rodding and hot rod aircraft and World War II aircraft are so interrelated that, you know, people really don't even realize how much.
I often tell people that the reason that World War II aircraft is cool is because the last time there was any serious improvement in internal combustion engine technology was World War II. Look at like the early 1930s when World War II was kind of starting, all the little skirmishes that started kicking off in the early 30s. And they were fighting with rotary airplane engines, right? Not radials yet, rotary type engines that didn't have a throttle, just had an on-off switch, and they were made out of wood and fabric. And 10 years later, they're tickling gas turbine technology after already mastering, all the fuels that came about. Like everything was a flathead with 6-to-1 compression, but by the end of World War II, overhead valves, dual overhead, 4 valve per cylinder setups, much higher horsepower per cubic inch, all the different fuels, methanol injection, water injection, turbocharging, supercharging, multi-stage supercharging.
Nitrous oxide.
Yeah,
Say again?
everything came from them.
Everything came from, everything we're doing now, with the exception of electronic controls. Just imagine if they'd had that back then. But other than that, the actual technology really hasn't changed much since then. So I really dig the connection to the World War II aircraft. I think that's appropriate and very cool. Carry on.
Yeah, it's definitely fun stuff. And I think kind of the fun thing too is knowing some of those guys. We talked about a little bit of the air management on the car, but a lot of those ideas and concepts were also refined by the guys that race those planes that are from that aircraft group. And, they work on race planes and have a real intimate understanding of aerodynamics. And you got guys like that where you got their cell numbers and you're like, hey, what about this and that? And they can talk to you intelligently about all the aerodynamic concepts, and it's super helpful. And it's a lot of fun because really it's like a modern day version of back in the day hot rod, where you're mixing aircraft technology with hot rod technology, and it makes it really a lot of fun. And then the cool part that we have now is all the electronics that we can incorporate into it, and look at all the data. Like now you can analyze aerodynamics on shock pots and stuff, like things that would have been nearly impossible to do back in the day, and now we can do it with stuff that we can buy off the shelf. We can buy shock pot setups, and as long as you got a fast enough dial logger, you can tell how your aerodynamics are working with a reasonably easy to accomplish set of tests. And it's cool to be in the day and age that we are, with all the really super intelligent people that we have around us. As long as you're willing to listen and kind of make the right relationships, you can go so far with figuring stuff out. And it's fun that it's just limitless.
It's a fun learning process as long as it's not killing your budget and wearing on your.
Well, the cool part is it's going to kill your budget, because if you're hooked on it, you're going to spend every last dollar that you can afford to spend on it. And everybody I know that is totally hooked is like a crack fiend. And every extra dollar they have goes into chasing that next bit of speed. And I think that's what makes it really cool, is that when you can go to an event, like we just were at LSS West, you're around a bunch of other people that are all like that. And, we know a lot of different people with a lot of different backgrounds and a lot of different financial means, and all of them do the same thing. Everybody's got some crazy next idea that's going to push them to the brink, but they feel like that's the next one they got to try. And that could be a whatever.
As we all like to say, a drug habit would be cheaper.
Yeah, I think it definitely would. Yeah, but it's fun. It's the coolest part to me is always just the perpetual learning experience. It's like no matter how much you learn, there's always, the more you learn, the more you realize there's more you can learn, and you just can never get there. You're always just going to have the ability to get better and better and better.
Right.
So we have two guys on tonight that are deep in the edge of the pool with LS turbos. What words of advice do you have for an audience that might not be quite as deep into it as you guys are?
Bill's asking for himself.
Yeah, because I'm going to put an LS turbo in anything, please. But still.
you are.
Oh, you will.
LS fan. Poor guy. You wait.
Yeah, he wants to go fast.
Sell him
I guess my biggest thing with doing an LS turbo is, almost anything you're going to do is going to going to be fun. So just have a plan of what you want to do. I guess I know a lot of people that come to me that have like a horsepower goal in mind, but they don't really know what they want to do with the car. And to me,
it's always too high too.
That's backwards.
Yeah, but it usually it ends up with a car that's not fun to drive.
Right. No, man, I tell people shoot for start at 500 wheel horsepower, and if you can handle that and that doesn't just scare the hell out of you, but take it up in 100 horsepower increments until it does. And by 700, it will. Yeah. And then after that, it becomes like driving a tractor.
Yeah, because with a turbo, you can start low and slow and just keep turning it up a little at a time as you get comfortable or until it just feels too slow and you have to turn it up more.
Yeah. And
just one more PSI, please.
Yeah. And what's been really fun for me too is we've been playing around with different head combos and cam combos and compression ratios versus boost, and moving power curves around and changing the shape of the power curves. And it's amazing how different you can make a car feel. When you start getting really in depth in different cam profiles and what your static compression is going to be versus your head flow and things like that. And it's a lot of times that stuff kind of gets to the edge of over my skis, but fortunately I've got a guy, Al, at CMP that's really good with that stuff. We've been working for years on trying to get the perfect horsepower curve, and that's kind of been the super fun thing for me lately, is trying to get the horsepower curve exactly matched to my gearing so that the car almost feels like an electric motor. And it kind of goes back to that horsepower management thing. So I think that you could kind of, if you're looking at wanting to do a turbo setup, you kind of have to know whether you want to go for the maximum number or whether you want to make the car as fast as it can possibly be. And I think those are two totally different things.
That's interesting. Right. So, yeah. We should let Mike go, man. We've had him on here for like an hour. I didn't intend for it to go that long, dude, but your car's pretty interesting. But yeah, I mean, where can they go to check out details? Do you have a Facebook page or a website or something set up for the car?
Facebook. Yeah, we've got a Facebook and an Instagram. They're both Dusold, DUSOLD, Designs, DESIGNS.
Yep, Dusold Designs. Got it.
Yep, and we got DuSoldDesigns.com for the website. But we stay probably a lot more up to date on our social media stuff. So if you wanted to see anything that we got going on, that would be a good place. And it was a lot of fun talking to you guys. Could always chat about car curves and stuff like that.
Yeah, go check out Dusold Designs because he does a lot of other neat shit besides his car. So generally everything you're working on has got either real cool paint or real cool ideas in it, real crafty. So it's worth going to check out.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun.
Cool. Well, thanks, dude. We'll be in touch. So with that, we got another guest on here tonight. Let's it's kind of cool. I saw I've been watching Race Car Church. For you guys tuned into Race Car Church, I do. Greg Schmidt puts on a hell of a good presentation, and he decided to join us this evening. I invited him a couple weeks ago. I said, hey, sit in here one of these nights when you get a chance, but they've been super busy unveiling their new ride for the year, the family ride. But without further ado, welcome aboard, Mr. Schmidt. How's it going, dude? Oh, I muted him. Hold on a second. Hey, it might help if I unmute him. Hold on. Here we go. Now
you can hear me now?
Yes, sir.
There. Yeah. How's it going?
It's going good, man. So where do you live exactly? You're somewhere up in the frozen north.
The frozen tundra. We're smack dab in the middle of Minnesota in Brainerd, Minnesota, for Brainerd International Raceway, where the Lucas Oil Nationals are held. We get the top fuelers and all of that here once a year. But yeah, right now it is actually snowing outside right now. So May 8th, and we're snowing on Cinco de Mayo on Sunday. We had sun and like 70 degrees. We revealed our new car, and 3 days later, there's snow and rain and sleet outside. So welcome.
I only have one thing to say about that. Better you than me.
Yeah, thanks, Mark.
Mark's up in damn Fargo. You would think that they would be getting
Mark's like 2 hours north of here, and he's not getting anything.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be on the racetrack on Saturday. We don't need any of that shit.
Are you heading over to Top End?
Yeah, it's a season opener testing tune.
Yep. Yeah, we were thinking about heading up there as well, but I think we're going to be we're cutting it close.
If you're gonna come up to Top End, the season opener is actually a week the following week.
Yeah.
And on that Sunday, we're having the Howard Calm Memorial Race. That's my friend that passed away last year. And there is it's a special race that's being run on Sunday, separate from the points. It's $20 to enter, 100% payback. I can't tell you what the purse is, but there's a guaranteed purse, and nobody will be disappointed with the purse.
We looked at coming up there because I really do like Top End, and the new owners up there have done a lot of really cool stuff. But down here in Brainerd, unfortunately last year we lost the track owner Jed Copham here, and they're doing a memorial race down here as well. So
the same weekend?
Yeah, it's the 18th, and I believe you guys are doing it on the 19th.
Yep.
So yeah, we're gonna do some testing with the new car down here. For everybody that doesn't know out there, I do a deal out there called Race Car Church. We do it every other Sunday morning.
Which is badass, by the way.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So that all kind of came about. I had people, it was a couple of years ago, where I kept asking, how do I put together AN fittings and AN lines? And, basic questions like that. So I got pissed off one time, and I said, I'm going to do a live deal, and I'm going to make it just extremely dumbed down and show people how to put these together. And it blew up. People loved it. And I was like, well, maybe there's something here with this. So I didn't do too many of them. I explained kind of AN fitting stuff and let it go. And I got messages every once in a while like, hey, you ever going to do those again? So I started it back up for 2019 in January. And every other Sunday we've been doing them. And we've been getting anywhere between like 2,000 and 4,000 views on them. It's basically just knowledge that we've gained over, I've gained over probably 12 to 14 years of doing drag racing. And I did about 10 years of dirt track racing before that with the family. So it's just knowledge that, we've messed stuff up and learned stuff and everything like that. So I want to help other people out, like give them, hey, this is kind of something you may not have thought of, and, get more people up on the track a little bit quicker.
Well, the other thing you did, I mean, it's good for the people who are like this is funny. The first one I really tuned into and really liked, and I was hanging on every word, was that the one you did that like NHRA safety for total noobs. I'm going to start with like the slowest car. Here's the first safety thing you need, and then you literally took it all the way through the fastest cars. And I mean, that to me, that was as good as the Jack Beckman episode we had here. Like I hung on every word. I shared the shit out of that video too. I was like, oh, you guys got good feedback.
I appreciated that one. Yeah, we did one there that was all on safety. Like you said, it was safety for your vehicle, starting from, starting at your daily driver, going all the way up to almost pro mod type of a deal, NHRA type pro mod. And, and what you'd have to use starting from your daily driver, what you have to wear for safety equipment on your person. Starting from a slower vehicle, going all the way up to like a pro mod style vehicle, and like what all the SFI deals were, and kind of explain that. So it was a neat one there. Another big one was we did a torque converter one, explaining what the insides of a torque converter do and what changes do to them and everything like that. A lot of people love that one as well. So we've done a few of them that have gone over very well, and it's been fun and coming up with new ideas. I think you guys are gonna hate me on this one, but I think we're gonna do a carburetor one. There's still a lot of guys that don't understand the carburetors and how kind of that works. So we're gonna.
Sorry, folks, we seem to have lost the connection with Greg. I'm not sure what's going on. It must be the storms in Minnesota. We're gonna have to follow up him later. Just kidding. I'm teasing. I actually want to get Mike Laws on here. I want to have Mike Laws, the carburetor guy, on here. I'm not sure how everybody's going to go with it, but I'm a huge fan of the proper carburetor, and so is Dahlquist, man. So absolutely. We joke around about it, but no, hard to beat a good carburetor for the time and the money.
My comment is that I love the EFI, but if I'm going to do EFI, it better work better than a good carburetor. And most people don't even understand what a good carburetor is. But if you can get the EFI to work better than a good carburetor, you're doing pretty good.
You're doing
Mark, don't you know a 750 double pumper is best carburetor out there? You know, put it on your Camelback heads, you're good to go.
Don't you know? Right. No,
I wish it was that easy.
Yeah, no problem with carburetor, as long as it works. But anyway, yeah. So, you actually did a segment on carburetor tuning then? That's impressive.
No, we're going to do one. Actually, I think that's going to be one of the next ones is we're actually going to do something on carburetors, kind of explaining that. Because a lot of people know, I changed the jets and it gets richer, or I changed this and this happens, but they don't know why. That's kind of our big one is, why do you have to do this? Why do you have to wear that safety equipment? Why do you make this change? Why do you adjust your shocks this way?
Yep. I'm tuning in for that. That's awesome.
Yep. Go ahead, sir.
Nope. Go ahead, sir.
I think we're also going to do one. We do a lot of nitrous up here. We have we just unveiled our new car. If anybody's out there listening and they care at all, you can go to Bad Influence, search that on the old Facebook, and that's our new car on there. It's a 1982 Chevrolet Camaro, so third gen for life right here. Big tire deal, big block, dual carbs, big heavy sniff of nitrous. So we've got a lot of people who've been asking us to do a nitrous one. So I'm putting one of those together. We're going to talk about nitrous, some of the tuning on there, and what some of everything means. Like when you hear PPH, what is it, and how does that correspond to horsepower, things like that.
Right.
We're going to do one of those. And then we had another request I've had about 3 or 4 of them, of explaining bracket racing. So even though we do heads up racing, I've done a lot of bracket racing. So we're going to do one explaining bracket racing. Might lose some people on that one because they don't care, but
I'm going to tune into that. Hey, I mean, dude, there's the whole, look at how competitive the bracket racing is on a national level right now.
Oh,
that absolutely merits a discussion. Absolutely.
So there's races around the nation for bracket racing, and they go to a $10,000 or $25,000 race on any weekend around the nation, where the only time you're getting into big money races like that is, the Street Outlaws, No Prep King stuff, where they're going to race for $40,000, but you can only get in it if you get their special invitation. So it's the bracket racing stuff. If you want to go get a lot of laps on your car and go for some big money, I mean, that's where it's at right now.
So is there like a schedule for race car church? Is it just every other Sunday in the mornings you do this, or?
Yeah, it's every other Sunday. And we're working on to make it a little better. Sometimes you Scott and I have talked here. I use a whiteboard quite often and I write on there, but I don't have the best handwriting. So we've got a couple of ideas to make it a little bit better, to have that on there. We've had people say, I want to sponsor it or this or that. And I've talked with Scott on here to possibly do them for the RealTuners. So it's
I'm trying to get him to do some webinars for us, Evans. I want him to do some short webinars on a couple of topics. They would be awesome to listen to. He's got the gift of instruction too.
I appreciate that, hearing that. That's great. So we've got a few things. We might keep doing the race car church, but then we might do a couple of, take like 2 or 3 of them and put them together and make that as a webinar. That way, if you want to go a little bit more in depth and everything like that, that would be in the webinar and then on the race car church. But yeah, every other Sunday. We just did one on Cinco de Mayo, so the next one will actually be the 19th. Of this month. I put them live on my own Facebook page and on the Bad Influence page. And we have a lot of fun doing that. My credentials are around here if anybody cares, like I say all the time. We have a performance shop here in Brainerd, Minnesota. It's kind of cool because I know of Mark, and I believe I've met Mark at the racetrack once, Dahlquist on here, where I know Throttle's Performance up in Fargo, and we have Paradigm down here. Both of us have tuning shops and such, but we can coexist. I've actually sent 2 customers up to Mark because I was too busy to be able to get anything in. I said, go up there. They're probably going to be able to get you in. So. It's cool, the community we have in northern Minnesota and Fargo and all of that. But
dude, you don't really want to be recommended Mark. I'm just kidding.
Oh no!
Good care of people.
Jeez.
He does that shit, so that's good.
Yeah, he does some really cool stuff up there. It's pretty cool. But yeah, so like I said, we're right here in Brainerd. We do a lot of drag cars. We just fired up a Fox Body Mustang with a 408 today, naturally aspirated. It'll be somewhere with a carburetor on it, but it'll be somewhere in that like 650, 700 to the tire range. We do
and that's on motor?
Yeah, motor loan.
Nice.
So
actual racing. That must be a Ford motor in that Ford car then.
That is a Ford motor in a Ford car with that's it's got the man clutch thing on it. I don't know about all that stuff, but
I think you're doing it wrong if you put the Ford motor in the Ford car. I think that's called doing it wrong.
Is that what it is? I don't know. Like we took a Ford motor
proof
out.
There's two.
I thought we were supposed to put that back in. I don't know.
Right. They're taking over.
They are. We actually, so in the bay right next to it, there's an LS swapped one with a turbo 400, but I was going to leave that out, but yeah. So, but yeah, we do a lot of drag racing around here, go around the country. We actually raced down in South Georgia Motorsports Park last year for No Mercy 9 in Outlaw 632. And we spray I think right now we've got like a 750 pill on our 632 right now. So, yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. So did I hear the guy that was just on, was it Mike, I believe? Did I hear that he was doing like a 10, like low 10s at like 150 mile an hour?
Correct.
Yeah.
In a road racing car that they make them do drag racing events with. It's pretty hilarious.
So he's dumping a triple disc clutch, getting like a 2.060 foot and backdooring that thing like a son of a gun.
Yep.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. You think the thing would run like mid or bottom nines with the mile an hour.
Well, we have guys that are, doing 149, 150 mile an hour, and they're going like high 890s, like 9.0. And so I heard him say 149. I was like, did he just say like a 1019 or something?
This guy. Right.
Holy cow.
Clutch problems.
Yeah, that's if he wants to tune into Race Car Church, we can tell him how an automatic transmission works and the torque converter. We can get him going.
I don't know how that would fly on the road course thing, man, with those crowd, but I bet you could make something work with a tight converter. I mean, that car is a world-class autocross car, right?
Paddle shifted, 6-speed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they got lock-up converters and all of that going on now. He can do it.
He's actually right. I'm sure you could pull that off and do something pretty cool. But that would be awkward for them.
I think that'd be great to see an automatic car out there paddle shifting around there that used to be a stick car and still winning.
Right.
There are a bunch of Auska cars that are automatics, so it's not unknown.
Oh, really? I like hearing that. That is cool. So, yeah, we unveiled our car last Sunday. We were at a brewery, and so we had a bunch of beer in us, which is always a good idea when you're going to get onto Facebook Live. And yeah, they were like, "Hey, you want free beer?" I'm like, "Is the sky blue? Hell yeah!" So they came over and we pulled the cover off and had oohs and ahs and fired it up. And we didn't know next door they were having a classical cello concert next to the brewery. So the people inside the brewery got really fucking pissed. They're coming out yelling, "You can't fire that up!" I was like, "Yeah, I can. I can do it again." They're like, "No, there's a thing going on." And yeah, we got a little bit yelled at, and it was good times. So
tell them don't have their quiet thing in a public place.
Yeah, well, they were inside a building, but I guess our car was louder than their building can handle or whatever. But yeah, that was cool. Firing up the drag car, making like 1,200 horse and cracking the throttle, and then all of a sudden people come running out. I thought they were just excited to see the car. I was wrong. So Okay, so who all do we have? I keep seeing stuff popping up on the screen here. Is this Chad that we have in here?
No. So you have Scott Clark. You have myself, Scott Evans. You have Mike Matajasic. You have John Bewley, Mark Dahlquist, Brian Barnhill, Bill Fowler. Looks like James Short joined us a little bit in the background. You got Dario is still on here, for our first guest of the night. Got a full house.
Is Jack Sears on here with you?
What was that?
I thought Jack Sears was going to get on here, the guy with Bad Grandpa. I don't know if he made it in or not. But anyway, we tuned to James.
I thought I saw Mr. Reynolds on there, but maybe I saw something else out the corner of my eye because I was going to say
he talked about joining in.
Well, they just started filming that show out there, and I know that he's part of that, the $10,000 horsepower challenge deal. And so I was going to see if he could give us any tips or insights of what's happening there, because I saw on the social media stuff today that they had to do the Olympics, do all the running and the jumping and everything. So Chad's probably really good at that. And
you think Chad is good at the Olympics part?
Oh,
that's the part I don't get.
He's great. I mean, come on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So the little hint on that is when they're filming that, because of the way they do their release schedule for Power Auto Media, they embargo a lot of information coming out of that while it's in filming. So you're only going to get little snippets here and there.
Absolutely.
If Chad were to get on, he might be able to tell us a little bit, but not kind of everything at once.
Well, I wanted a little bit more information. So they released last week the 4 cars. They're not doing 6 cars that they get to choose from this year. It's 4 cars. And I want a little more information on these 4 cars because they basically excluded Fox Body Mustangs this year. They're like, nope, we're not putting Fox Bodies in there. The 2 finalists were Fox Bodies. It's such a good car. They put, LS stuff in there and it worked too good. So they're not giving it to anybody. So I wanted to see some more information on those, but maybe next week.
I know that
they released what 4 cars
got. Yeah, the Joey Heichel and those guys got the G body, right? Somebody said that.
I don't know who got what. I just know what 4 chassis they had in it.
Yep, I saw that. So I was wondering if maybe who got what was happening, but I don't know. It's that's one of those really interesting.
Just happening today. Just starting to happen today. I literally 10 minutes before the show started, I saw Joey post something about that they had gotten the G body for them, which is hilarious. Good luck with the G body shuffle. Some chassis budget there. 9,000 in chassis, and we got 1,000 left over to do a motor.
Yeah. Stock
it's still a triangulated 4-link. It's just, I hate to say it's not that big a difference.
Right. No, it's not that far off. I know in the rear, but man, isn't the front janked up in those things?
No, not really. The G body is probably the best. The G body and the S10 were probably the 2 easiest ones that are in the running to be able to get something down the track.
Yeah,
Jake and Anastasia were here talking about getting the S10 would be the one we would want because you can go real crazy with a set of Caltrax and stock Leafs on those things.
Yep. Because there was a 410F body, the G body, and the S10 pickup truck, and I can't remember the 4th one.
And then I thought there was a New Edge V6 Mustang.
Yeah, it was a New Edge V6 Mustang. Yeah, which is nothing more than a longer wheelbase Fox.
Yep, and that's why I was like, I wonder what they're going to do with that. But it has the 7.5-inch rear end and everything in there. But yeah, it'll be.
Oh, that sucks. I was going to say turbo the balls out of that V6. I could make that happen. But yeah.
Well, cool. Well, I appreciate you guys having me on here. It's fun. I listen, and if you guys ever want somebody to fill in or anything like that, always give me a holler. I'm willing to put some insight on.
Welcome to sit in any Wednesday night you feel like, man. That's an open invite. So
awesome. Well, thank you very much, guys. I know that it's getting a little late, and people are probably looking at bedtime. So
whenever
it's time to wrap it up.
Whenever you do that carburetor class, if you want some of us to show you where to throw that carburetor, we'll gladly help you.
Oh, you got a big block sitting over there? You want me to put it on?
I was thinking a little gray can in the corner.
Oh, okay. The delivery box. Okay, you want me to deliver it over? Not a problem. We can do that. Yeah. All right. I like I said, I knew you guys would give me hell over carburetors, but
no, we like them. We know they have a use and a purpose and a place. There's a place for it.
I got a carburetor on my lawnmower. It's all cool.
Has anybody put EFI on a lawnmower?
Scott's favorite story is
there are lawnmowers that come EFI from the factory.
Well, yeah, from
no.
But anybody converted
my neighbor.
one?
Yeah,
dude, my neighbor back in Iowa has a 1947 Case VAC 60 tractor that we put a K car throttle body TBI on, and hooked it up to the governor and everything. And so because he was having problems with the throttle body thing. Yeah, and he was out. He mows with it every year. Mows the pasture. He's got a big bush hog for it, or a pull behind mower. And he mows his pasture with it every year. And it's been on there 10 years or more. It's a micro squirt. It's pretty hilarious.
That's awesome.
You don't care.
Scott's favorite story is me on the dyno not being able to start the car after the VFI.
Oh yeah, right. After we did EFI with Mark, this is one of my favorite stories. Then we were testing the Engine Masters Challenge motor with carburetor. He puts a carb on this thing and he's trying to start it. He's like, I don't know what's wrong, because he's been doing EFI for the last 3 days. I'm like, you gotta pump it, dude. It's carburetor. Started right up after that. But hilarious how quickly he forgets. But no, we're fans of the carburetors. We give them a hard time. I like to
seriously, whose dog
on here? That's Bill, I'm sure. Hold on. Boom, muted. I love his dogs, but they're hilarious.
Holy crap.
Those were not my dogs.
Oh, they weren't your dogs?
Oh, they were your wife's dogs?
It was my microphone and my connection, but it wasn't my actual dogs, because I'm on the golf course walking the dogs right now.
Oh,
it's not bedtime here.
Oh, must be
right.
It must be rough to be on the golf course. Jeez.
It sounded more like a cat that was barking.
Right.
I thought it was a parrot.
Chihuahua Wars. Well,
I'm walking two Rottweilers and a black lab, and naturally the little yappy dogs behind the fence are talking tough. So
rock and roll. Hey, let's wind it up, man. Let's talk about the classes we got coming up here. Or maybe not, because I don't have my schedule up in front of me, but I got not this weekend, but next, May 17th and 18th at 417 Motorsports. Holly Basics. We take you through. It's actually not that basic. We take you pretty far through it.
18th and 19th is.
Sorry, 18th and 19th.
Yeah, that's your Saturday,
weekend.
Sunday.
Yeah, that's right. Saturday and Sunday. Sorry. 2 weekends after that, we're up at Endless Performance in Milwaukee. And then, 2 weekends after that, we are at 4-Door Horsepower Club in Slidell, Louisiana. Then the week after that, we are up at Endless Performance in Milwaukee. Both of those are general EFI standalone tuning classes. The one in Milwaukee is an advanced. The one in Slidell, Louisiana, New Orleans area, that is basic. I am going to be staying down there a couple extra days if somebody wants to get their tune on, because we like to vacation down there. Awesome food down there. But so anyway, that's what I got coming up. If anybody's interested in classes, go check them out at RealTuners.com. Check us out on Facebook, RealTuners LLC. And I also have a RealTuners Instagram now. So anyway, that's all that's going on.
Cool.
So huge thanks to all the guys for showing up tonight. Mike Dussault, Dario Geiga, Greg Schmidt. Good stuff. We'll get Jack Sears with Bad Grandpa on here eventually and talk about the class we had last weekend. We had a really cool class at Shore Tuning. If you come to my classes, you know that the ones at James's shop are pretty darn good. So anyway, that's all I got. Evans, if you want to roll us out of here, man, make it happen.
Yep. Awesome. Everybody have a good night. Do you want to learn how to tune electronic fuel injection live in person with the guys from RealTuners? We have 2-day courses in dyno shops all across the country. You can register for these at RealTuners.com and click on RealTuners Live Classes. For more information or to make a reservation, go to RealTuners.com or message us on Facebook at RealTuners LLC. Now, about those classes, when are they, you might ask? May 18th and 19th, a standalone EFI Level 1 class at 417 Motorsports in Springfield, Missouri. June 15th and 16th, a Level 2 advanced course in Milwaukee, Wisconsin at Endless Performance. And of course, we will be trying to schedule more classes and more dates throughout the year, so keep checking back for more info.
And remember, don't forget to have your host spayed or neutered.